Hi, I'm Joe Hilferty, and this is the appliance review. Today, I want to show you guys the new 48-inch Miele range. This is a product that came out probably kind of like third, fourth quarter of last year. We've done a couple of 48-inch ranges in the last couple of weeks. We did the Wolf Dual Fuel 48. Check out that video. I'll link it in the description. And then we also did the Monogram 48-inch dual fuel range, and I'll put a link in the description for that as well. This is the Miele 48-inch range. So this new 3 series range, when you're looking at the Miele website, and they may have some of the previous generation ranges still for sale. This is going to be the designated -3 series. So you can look at this. I believe there's an HR1954, which is going to be all burners, an HR1955, which is the way that you see it here with the infrared grill, and then there is also an HR1956, which is going to be the same configuration but with a griddle instead of the grill. I want to say there was also an all burner option in the past, but I didn't see that on their website. Just like previous generations of Miele's, you can buy this in a natural gas or a propane gas version. The reason they do that is that typically with propane gas, you lose a little bit of the output of the burners because the calculation is supposedly less precise when you do an on-site conversion. I don't even think Miele allows their dealers or their servicers to do a conversion on these. But maybe that they've changed that since they first introduced this range years ago. And I was told that. Some changes. So the BTU output, I want to say on these is that you'll have 3 19,000 or 19,500s in the front. You're going to get, I want to say, 2 10,000s, which would probably be the far right and the far left, which are reduced diameter. And then I think there's a 13 or a 13.5, which is probably this guy right here. Just like all of their previous generation Pro ranges, you have the M burner or the M stack burner, which is a multi-flame burner, and it's multi-flame because you've got flame that are going to come out of these ports here, but then you're going to get, and you can probably barely see those teeny tiny little ports in there, a secondary flame coming from there. Now those two flames will work in concert with one another to try to recreate the level of control that you would get with an open burner. So open burners, you've got a ring around the base, goes down into a separate area, but you've got way more oxygen, which means you've got way more control over the height of that flame. So with steel burners, when you have a high BTU flame like this, they don't maybe quite burn as hot potentially, but more importantly, they don't simmer very well. Once you take the flame down to a certain point, the flame will flicker. So they'll stop that from happening by just shutting off the burner kind of in advance of that. What this does is it has this secondary gas air mixture with a lower BTU flame at the base. So as you dial the knob down, you're going to get to your simmer right about somewhere in here, and then eventually that larger flame will go off, and that little baby flame will stay on. And once you're on that flame by itself, you actually have a little bit of adjustment on it as well. But the idea is that you've got that same range of adjustability as an open burner. Another thing that they try to do is to get the flame to do less of a blossom. So typically a steel burner flame will send the flame out kind of horizontally before it bends up, which, for smaller and medium-sized pans, you don't want, because you get a lot of flame around the edge of the pan where it's not really doing much good. So, according to Miele, they try to get this to do more of a vertical flame. I'd have to go to the local Miele showroom and see how that works and see if it does work like they say it does. But if it does, that's pretty fantastic. Like most Pro ranges, you have a porcelainized deck here or cooking surface. That won't discolor like stainless will, and it won't scratch nearly as easy as stainless steel. So some people will ask, well, why didn't they do all stainless? Because it'll look like caca after a very short period of time, and these factories know better, so they do that. Now, when I put this grate back on, there is a little silicone foot there that's on all four corners. And then on the back, you've got like a little divot that it kind of sets into. And then again, there's another one over here. So it looks like they do it kind of diagonally. You've got one and one, and then that seats kind of nicely so that it doesn't move around. Also, like the previous generation of ranges, you have a ceramic coating on the front and back of these grates, so they can be placed in a dishwasher. You can use soap on them, and that should keep them looking nicer for a little bit longer. I mean, it's a gas top. You may expect it to get a patina after just a little bit of use. Also, like previous generations, because that simmer flame is so difficult to see under direct light, you've got this ring of white LEDs that will come on the knob area to kind of remind you, like, hey, even though that simmer flame isn't super visible, it is still on. Now, on the gas ranges, which, by the way, isn't available in a 48, just 30 and 36 only, you've got this kind of more basic, see if I can get the camera to focus, more basic dials for the oven temperature and the cooking modes. On the dual fuel, when you power it up, this entire glass section here kind of comes up to a 45, so you're not bending over to use that touch screen, which makes sense. Earlier versions of these ranges with TFT displays, you kind of had to get down on your haunches to use the oven control. So I really like that they did this. This thing is super unique in a couple of ways. So mainly, it has, or its most unique thing is that it has this mini oven on the left, or auxiliary oven on the left, is also a microwave. So you have baking, you have broiling. Let me see if I can see the broiler there. You have a convection heater on the side so you can see it, right? You've got a roast probe. So full functioning little kind of high performance toaster oven of sorts, but it's also a microwave. You'll see a little minute button in there. When you boot this up and you go to, again, try to focus camera. When you go to the operating mode, you'll see that microwaving is there. It's going to be very basic. You'll have the ability to select a specific power level and a specific amount of time. You'll probably have a defrost option, I'm going to guess, in the special modes. Let's see. There's dehydrate, there's defrost, there's reheat. So some very basic microwave functionality. Now, this can be nice if you've got a small kitchen, you don't have a place to put the microwave, or if you were planning on doing something like a microwave drawer or a built-in microwave someplace else, that could be something like a combi steam oven or another larger oven. So they have some space. This typically only occupies about 45 centimeters in a built-in oven. So because the oven is about 60 centimeters, they've taken up that real estate with a little warming oven. And these warmers are great. They've got this design that has these cutaway sides so that you don't hit your forearm as you're reaching into the cavity. You've got a silicone liner at the bottom of these warming ovens. You've got glass touch interface. Now here I've got some bowls and plates that kind of shoved in here to show people, like, you know what, you want to put your hot food on a hot plate so that it stays nice and hot. If you put food on a cold plate, it's not going to stay as hot nearly as long. So very neat that that's included. This smaller European oven here isn't nearly as big as some of the larger ovens in their US market ovens, like the wall ovens or the 30 or 36 inch range. But this thing is a monster when it comes to performance. It will, because of its size, it will preheat faster, or likely preheat faster. It will also likely keep more accurate temperatures. Like most of the other Miele ovens, you will get full extension glide racks. Now, they're not as easy to take in and out as their other series. The other series, they kind of weld the bearings and the tracks to the rack. Here the rack is removable, but then to adjust the shelving position, you would actually need to take these individual runners and then move them up and down. So some people may not like that, but it is possible to move the racks. You get a universal pan for broiling, and then you get this. This is a Miele bread baking pan. Like a lot of the Miele cookware that comes with their cooking products, this does have a non-porous enamel. You don't really want to put this in the dishwasher because the enzymes will eat away that non-stick property, or at least the ability for things not to get in there. So don't put that in the dishwasher. You've got halogen lights here on the right. You've got halogen lights at the top right and the top left corner, so very nice lighting. There is your, looks to be an 8-pass broiler. You've got a 6-pass inner element with a with the outer brown air as your as your 7th and 8th pass. That is a self-clean oven. Obviously, the speed oven is not self-clean, but it does have a coating to help keep it easier to clean. So you're not actually baking things in or directly into that stainless steel interior. This microwave, by the way, doesn't have a turntable. It has a mixer which evenly microwaves the inside of this. I typically recommend that you leave one of the two glass baking dishes on the lowest shelving position, so that, when you're microwaving, if you have something that spills or whatever, you can just take this tray out. You will get a oven rack. That oven rack, by the way, typically accommodates Miele's cookie sheets and bread baking sheets. Let me see if this works. This may be a little bit different. So there you go. So if you think you'd like a baking sheet, Miele makes a custom baking sheet that will fit the full width and depth of that oven. It does come with their 60 centimeter built-in ovens that they sell here in the US market. So you can buy those as an accessory for that, but they also fit on the racking system in their steam ovens, and of course on the baking rack here in the speed oven. Let's see, changes predominantly visually. The main change is that the handles are a little bit different. So the previous generation, you didn't have these rounded edges, and of course sometimes you'd reach in here and catch your hand on a very sharp corner, which would bite in, be a little bit painful. So they've made that a little of a more rounded transition. Just like the previous generation, you've got the comfort swivel handle, which is really slick. You'll notice that slow close on the door, and then typically with Miele ovens you have a slow close as it opens as well. All Miele built-in ovens, and this oven here has the metal frame around the glass removed, so that when you self-clean this, that frame typically gets all scorched up. Here you'll have a nice glass surface, which will probably be a lot easier to clean. You've got the little tray here, little drip tray, for catching crumbs as you're cleaning out the interior of the oven. And yeah, so the grill, by the way, grill is infrared, in case you're wondering. Now, you don't have a lot of adjustability on that temperature, but you do have some, unlike the Wolf infrared grill, which has, I think, very limited or no adjustability in the heat. In addition to being able to get this, like I said, you can do all burners. You can eliminate this. My preference is the infrared griddle that you can opt for this. That was the 1956, I believe. So the griddle is going to season like cast iron. That is also going to be infrared. A lot of people will say, well, I can just put a griddle over 2 burners, right? I don't need to have it built into my stove. My thinking is that, one, I don't know, I'm never going to need more than 6 burners. So having 8 burners just seems weird to me. But the griddle, once it's seasoned, you really have almost a non-stick surface to cook on. And what we would demonstrate in that griddle is if you put a pancake anywhere on the surface of the griddle, it's going to come out evenly browned. That's something that you cannot get by just placing a griddle over 2 burners. One of the things that really makes the 48-inch and the 36-inch Pro ranges unique is that you can get that restaurant style griddle. So I've always been a big fan of that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm forgetting to mention here. Just like the Miele ovens and dishwashers, by the way, that is a coated stainless. So that kind of steel picture frame that goes around the glass, that is coated. So you can spot clean that. That's never gonna oxidize. It's never gonna get all splotchy and funky looking. You can just take a wet paper towel and wipe off a smudge that's on there. It'll stay nice and clean and pretty, but only up into a point. So that finish is going to stop right here at the bull nose, and then the bull nose is going to be uncoated, and I have no idea why that is, but whatever, it's fine. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching this. Hopefully, if you're looking at purchasing one of these, I'd help you kind of see some features and details that that make that decision easier for you. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you want to see more, subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time.